What's up, everybody? Brett Okamoto from ESPN, and we hope that you missed us as much as we missed you. We are back with a UFC Best Bets week after taking last week off. Of course, there was no UFC event last weekend. That's very rare, and we've got one now this weekend on ABC, actually. Big ABC, and it's not the fight that we were expecting. It was supposed to be Darren Till versus Marvin Vettori, but Kevin Holland, who we just talked about a couple weeks ago, facing Derek Brunson, steps in on short notice to replace Darren Till, who is injured, and he will face Marvin Vettori. So real quick, before we get to that event, let's go back 2 weeks, just check on our results. It was UFC 260, great pay-per-view event. Both of our guys got us to the window. Nick with a plus 110 underdog, slight underdog, Jamie Malarkey getting it done in just 46 seconds. So thank you, Nick. I love those nice and easy ones that we just cash right away. And then James, he said he liked Sean O'Malley. He acknowledged that it was a heavy price, but he thought it was going to go a certain way, and it did. One of the most impressive performances of Sean O'Malley's career. He also took the over 2.5 of Woodley Luque. That one not as good, but hey, give credit to Woodley. What did we say on the show? That sometimes he's coming out there and he's looking like he's just there to survive. He was there to win against Vicente Luque. Had him hurt. Crazy fight. Vicente Luque ends up getting the finish early on. So that's a recap of 2 weeks ago. Let's get into this Saturday. Marvin Vettori versus Kevin Holland. Vettori right now minus 330 favorite. Kevin Holland plus 260. Nick, let's go ahead and start with you. Obviously, like I mentioned, it's not the matchup that we were expecting. What did you think of when the line initially came out?
Well, actually, I took advantage at a low price at minus 265, minus 285 for Vettori. I knew the line was going to skyrocket, so I hopped on it early for a small amount. You can't get down big money usually when, some of these openers appear out there sometimes. So for a small amount, I had to jump on Vettori. I knew it was kind of going to go that way. Now where it's at, I think it's a lot more solid. It's around minus 315 plus 265-ish at the moment. So I just think stylistically it is kind of a tough matchup for Brunson. For Holland, because of the Brunson fight, especially. We saw the blueprint kind of laid out with the takedowns, and now he has a guy that could take him down, but also strike with him. So I think stylistically it is a tough matchup, but at the same time, I think people are kind of disrespecting Holland, if that makes sense now, because of that loss, but you do have to factor it in. So it's one of those things that I think the line will be overinflated from the public because of that loss. But at the same time, you have to consider the way it went down. And I think Vettori is kind of a better version of Brunson, maybe not directly in the wrestling department, but I think as far as well-rounded skill set, I think Vettori's better.
What do you think, James? I mean, Nick jumping on that early line, minus 265. Now it's at minus 330. Is that the side that you are on as well? And would you still take it even though it's now inflated at minus 330?
Yeah, I jumped on it as well. The thing I like about Vettori is, and I'll piggyback kind of off what Nick said, but the thing I like about Vettori is his credentialed wrestling might not be as good as Brunson, but I feel like he puts everything together better than Brunson, right? Like he's an MMA wrestler rather than a credentialed, folk style collegiate wrestler. And Vettori is durable. He can strike really well. He's got great cardio. He showed in the Hermanson fight that he can grapple with really good grapplers. What I like about Vettori, and we were talking about this before the show started, but to me, he's been a dark horse in that division for a very long time. You're talking about a guy that won a split decision with Izzy. Like this guy, he can he's good everywhere. And the blueprint was laid a few weeks ago on how to beat Holland, and I just don't think you can make those adjustments in that small amount of time to overcome that, that wrestling. I do think it'll look a little different. I could see Vettori striking a little bit more, putting him on the fence, but ultimately the Vettori's ability to dictate where the fight takes place, I really like him for that.
James, let me ask you a question about Kevin Holland, because yes, I mean, it appeared in that fight that he had a deficiency in wrestling, but it also appeared as though and everybody can sort of have their own different opinion on this, but what was his mental state, in that fight, and how was he handling that? He does talk a lot, but then, some of it's almost, if you were kind of watching the details of that fight, he wasn't really trying to stand up a lot of the times when he was on his back. Before the fifth round, he told his coaches, hey, I believe in me too, but I'm tired. It seemed like he kind of had a defeatist mentality going into that fifth round. Do you think that a quick turnaround and just coming in with a different mindset, we could see a different fighter, or did you see technically, skills-wise, something that just he cannot make up in that amount of time?
Well, Holland is extremely he's mentally there for sure. He's a mental monster. There's no doubt about that. I mean, you're talking about a guy that went 3 rounds with Thiago Santos. You're talking about and to be honest with you, he's probably a welterweight. When he fought last week, he told me he would and we're talking on Wednesday when I got there. He was 187. or 189 or something. Like, he can make welterweight. He has before. He can do it again. But to me, the last time against Brunson, like, maybe not before the fight, but I just felt like it was just a little bit forced. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like when he talks, it normally feels organic. Like, you know, if he has something to say, he'll say. He's not afraid to, he won't pull any punches or anything like that. But like, I felt like it was just extremely forced this time. Like he's kind of being known for that, you know, call him big mouth or whatever. He's getting known for that. So I feel like he needs to like feed the persona almost. And I don't know, you know, that's just the feeling that I got. It felt extremely forced. It felt like very Ronda Rousey, Holly Holm-ish to me. Like, it's just, I don't know, something just felt off about it on fight week. Like, dude, like, this, just be yourself, man. Like, and I don't know. But when you get into the nitty gritty, and when you start talking about those top 5, top 10 guys, that stuff don't matter. Those guys are going to push through that. They're going to be tough to mentally break. They're going to be tough to shake, you know, and that's Holland's game. Those guys aren't going to make the mistakes that Holland is capitalizing on, you know, with some of the crazy, you know, knockouts he's had. He's extremely weird, gangly, like long. And it's just going to be really tough to beat those top tier guys with that style, in my opinion.
Nick, just one more on Vettori. He's been popular with the Sharps, right? I mean, for years now. I feel like you just hear through the grapevine. This is like the perception that I get just from just kind of even just like social interactions with people who are saying that the gamblers of Vegas, they love Marvin Vettori. Do you see that now? Like the window is closing on that? You said yourself that you took him early on in this. So apparently it's not closed completely, but are we running out of time to get value on Marvin Vettori?
Well, I mean, yes, that there's some truth to that for sure. And Sharps have like Vettori. I mean, they do see that skill set that he has that can present a lot of problems for people, and they're hopping on it at decent prices. In fact, a lot of people were disappointed that the Till fight got canceled because you were going to get a much lower number, like minus 140, 150, and the Sharps were going to bet that side as well. So, yeah, I mean, I think the window's still there because of the type of matchups he's going to get from here on out. I mean, they're all going to be difficult fights. So he shouldn't be like a huge favorite from this point on, meaning because if he wins this fight, he's in title contention, right? He's going to probably get a shot at the title next, or maybe one more fight and then get the title shot as well. So those lines should be fairly competitive. So I think there's still some value left to be had. And especially, hey, if he makes it to the Izzy fight again, you know he's going to be a dog. So there might be some opportunities there as well.
Nick, you tell me right now. Not what the line will open, but what should the line open if Israel and Vettori fought tomorrow?
Wow. That's tough. Off the top of my head, I would say probably, because of the public factoring in there again, maybe around 250-ish, which is high, right? I mean, so you're going to probably get Vettori at around plus 200-ish. Now, again, depends. I mean, sometimes they just threw darts out there when they open these lines. So it could be 400, could be 150. You never know. But I think off the top of my head, Izzy around minus 250 might be a fair price. It's overinflated. I would take the dog at that price, to be honest with you. I would probably take a stab at Vettori, but I think the public will probably keep it up around there.
All right, so we talked the side. Let's just go real quickly. The over/under here is set at 2.5. So for the fight to basically go, half the distance, of course, to go over that mark is minus 160. Under, you're getting a little bit of value there at plus 120. Any opinions on the total? James, you go first.
I think the fight's going to go over easily. I mean, I don't know. You know what I mean? That's yeah, I like that fight. I like that fight to go over 2.5 a lot. And I like it at 160. As a matter of fact, I even bet it at over 4.5 for plus. I think I got it at plus 130. Both these guys are just really durable, and they're both in shape. They're both extremely durable guys. I feel like Vettori's going to spend a lot of time wrestling in this fight. Holland has great jiu-jitsu. He's not easy to pass. He's not easy to sub. You know what I mean? Like, both these guys their defense is solid, you know, and typically they don't get finished. You know, you're talking about a guy that in Holland that didn't get knocked out by Thiago Santos, didn't get submitted by Jacare. Like, you know, he's had the elitists in there, and Vettori's been in there with guys that are hammers as well. And they're just, you know, he didn't get knocked out, but went to a split with Izzy, you know, one of the elite strikers in the game right now. And then just out-grappled Hermanson, you know, outstruck him, but he grappled with Hermanson. So we're talking about both these guys have been in there with the elite strikers and the elite grapplers, and they're tough to put away. So I know that Holland has been finished in the past, but I like the over. I love the over 2.5, and I like the over 4.5.
Yeah, one difference I would say, or I would think is a potential in this weekend as opposed to three weeks ago when Kevin fought, is after the criticism that he faced in closing his guard and really not doing much from his back other than throwing some elbows, but kind of just accepting it and talking. I think you're going to see a renewed effort from Kevin that if the fight does go to the ground and his back is on the canvas, that he's going to try to get up. Now, whether or not that it ends up in a finish, who knows? But I don't think it's as likely that you're going to get these long stretches of time where if you got the over, you're feeling really great about it because Derek Brunson is just kind of hanging there, laying on him. I think that you're going to see more effort from the bottom from Kevin Holland. So maybe something to consider. Nick, what do you think about the total?
Yeah, no, I think this is a great opportunity to kind of piggyback off what you just said there for Holland as well, because he can get some of that respect back. If he pulls this win off, I mean, he's right back in the mix. And, that loss to Brunson is kind of, in the back door. It's not even kind of relevant at this point if he could pull off this high caliber win over a guy like Vettori. But the total, if you get over 2.5, laying a little bit of juice, like you said, minus 160, you have to take it. I mean, because there is the market prices out there typically around 400, or I mean, I'm sorry, 4.5 under, like James was saying, minus 160, 165. So I think that's a dangerous spot kind of, because 5 rounds again is kind of a long time to go with the finishing ability for both guys. They are durable. I understand that, hard to submit as well. But Vettori, if he gets on top on the ground, I think his ground and pound and his ability to kind of transition and look for that finish might be there. And at the same time, if Holland does pull off the upset, it's probably going to be inside the distance. I think more than likely on the feet, right? If he catches Vettori with something. So I think that's why the 4.5 spot's a little bit more difficult for me. But if you could get over 2.5 rounds, I think you're fairly safe there because it should probably progress over 2.5.
Well, just to let the viewers know, and I should say this right off the bat, I am pulling these odds right before we tape from William Hill. Nick, do you have it handy? What does Circa have as far as a total on the event?
Actually, at Circa, we have right now 4.5 under minus 165. So wow, 4.5 rounds under minus 165.
Yeah. All right. All right. Let's go ahead and get to best bets, guys. Nick, why don't we start with you? I don't think we got a full best bet or anything on the main event, at least not that you guys have mentioned so far. So we're looking at down the prelim, or where are we going, Nick?
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at a good spot for Joe Solecki actually against Jim Miller. I mean, Jim Miller's a savvy vet. Obviously, he's one of the best lightweights, I think, historically in the UFC. But I think he's got that point where he's not in his best shape right now, meaning that, I mean, his prime is kind of past him a little bit. And Solecki is the guy on the up and on the rise. He's got great grappling. He can outstrike Miller, I think, as well. So it's a little bit of chalk, but I still think there's value around minus 220, 230 on Solecki. So I think that's the way to go.
Okay. James, what do you got for us this week?
I've been laying a little bit of chalk. So I actually, it's funny Nick mentioned that, because that was going to be my play as well. I really like Joe Solecki. Man, he's a phenomenal grappler. I don't see Miller subbing him. Solecki's, to me, is a younger, more athletic version of Jim Miller, and I feel like he can strike a little bit better as well. So I love the Joe Solecki. I agree with you 100%. I love that, but I've been laying a lot of chalk. I laid chalk on O'Malley, but so I'm gonna go a little bit. I'm gonna go on a different direction. I went. And I like both of these. I like the over 2.5, and I know that's a little chalky. I think you said minus 160 or minus 165. I actually went over 4.5 and Vettori Holland for plus 130. Mm-hmm. And I really like that. I don't think either one of these guys are going to finish. I know it's 25 minutes. I know it's a long time in the fight, but any one of those overs, I do like the over 2.5 better, and I would pay the chalk for it if you can. But at plus money over 4.5, and both these guys, like Holland just fought, over 4.5. Vettori's last fight over 4.5, and I'm not saying Nick's wrong in this, because I do agree with him. If Vettori gets on top, there's definitely some problems there, but at plus money, I'm gonna have to jump on it at over 4.5 at plus 130.
Okay. All right.
But if you can pick between over 2.5 over 4.5, I would for sure lay the chalk on over 2.5 all day.
Lay the chalk for the safer one. Okay, so we got a total on the main event, and we got a little bit of a chalky pick for Nick, especially. This guy usually doesn't go over minus 200.
Yeah, I'm proud of you, Nick. I'm proud of you.
Yeah, it's either James wearing off on him, or he just has that.
I'll tell you, that's what you get hanging around me a little too much. You get a little chalky.
No, where there's value, there's value. So I'm not going to hesitate to lay chalk when it's appropriately determined, and like in this case, I think it is. So, but I love a good dog. So yeah, typically I would kind of side with the dog or a pick 'em type of fight. But when there's value, there's value. It could be 300, 400. If there's value in a spot, you got to take it.
Well, there you go. We're back. UFC Fight Night. So it's a UFC Best Bets episode, and all three of us will be back in Vegas again because our guy James is catching a flight to corner some guys at the Apex. So enjoy the fights, win some money, and come back here and see us next week.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.